All right, next and last problem is number 82. And it says, use the Pythagorean identities to find the exact value. Okay, and they're giving cotangent of t equals 4, cosecant of t is less than 0, find cosecant of t. Okay, so now I know the Pythagorean identity, so I'm going to do it that way, but you don't have to do it that way. I know it says to do it that way, but you do things however you find most comfortable. Okay, so I'm going to show you sort of the Pythagorean identities. We'll do it that way, but then I'll also show you how to do it from the triangle, which we did before. We did this problem. This is just like some of those other problems we did before. Okay, so first thing is we need the Pythagorean identities. Which the Pythagorean identities honestly are important. Okay, but you thought I was going to say they're not important. No, they're very important. Okay, so we're going to start sine squared of theta plus cosine squared of theta equals 1. This is the most important identity in trigonometry. This is basically the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, if you think about it from terms of a triangle, let's try that again. Okay, if you think about it in terms of a triangle, let's say this is x, this is y, this is r. Okay, then you have, of course, x squared plus y squared equals r squared. Dividing through by r squared, x over r squared plus y over r squared equals 1. Okay, and this, actually I have it backwards. So this is the cosine squared. That's the sine squared of theta. And you have your 1 here. Okay, so this is one of the most important identities in all of this course. I would argue maybe the most. Okay, now next we're going to take that identity and we're going to play with it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead. I have here, this one, whatever we have should involve cotangent and cosecant. Okay, so I want to have cotangent out of this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to divide this by cosine. Sorry, I'm going to divide this by sine squared of theta. So if I divide every term by sine squared of theta, what do I get? 1 plus cosine over sine is cotangent equals 1 over sine is secant. Okay. I'm going to go back to my Pythagorean identity, the original. I'm going to give you guys another identity. I could also divide it by cosine squared of theta. And this is the one I actually use more often myself. But they're both useful. Okay. The reason I use this one better has to do with some things in calculus involving derivatives. And that's where you're going to use a lot of this stuff. Okay, so you do use these identities quite often in your calculus classes when you take those. Okay, so sine over cosine is tangent. So this becomes tan squared of theta plus 1 equals secant squared of theta. Okay, so there we have our 3 Pythagorean identities. Sine squared of theta plus cosine squared of theta equals 1. 1 plus cotangent squared of theta equals secant squared of theta. Tan squared of theta plus 1 equals secant squared of theta. Okay, so now let's take a look at this problem again. Okay, so we're going to use the Pythagorean identities. So this one fits with this, well, actually, no, it doesn't. What did I do wrong? Oops. Oops, oops, oopsie daisy. That should have been cosecant squared. Ah. I'm sure that all of you were yelling at your screen like, what? No, no, no. But yeah, that should have been cosecant squared. Okay, so here, 1 divided by sine, I don't know why I said secant, that's cosecant. Okay, I guess I'm getting old. Okay, now we can fit this in. So we're going to find cosecant of t. So we have 1 plus 16 equals cosecant squared of theta. Okay, so 17 equals cosecant squared of theta. Now we know cosecant, actually these are t's. But we're given that cosecant is less than 0. Okay, so cosecant of t should be negative square root of 17. Okay, now the other way to do this, you could still have done this with a triangle, so let me show you that. Okay, if you wanted to do this with a triangle, you say, okay, cotangent is positive, cosecant, which corresponds to sine, is negative. So that means you have to be in the 3rd and 4th quadrants. But cotangent is positive, so that means you have to be in the 3rd quadrant. So this information together gives you 3rd quadrant. Okay, let me write that down. So the cotangent of t being positive means that you're in the 1st or 3rd quadrants. Cosecant of t being negative means you're in the 3rd or 4th quadrant. So that means you're going to have the 3rd quadrant as your quadrant. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead, we're just going to draw this triangle in the 3rd quadrant. Now you see we can draw it using the reference angles. Okay, cotangent is x over y. So that means we're going to have -4 over -1. Okay, the negatives are because it's in the 3rd quadrant. The hypotenuse is 16 plus 1 is root 17. So the cosecant of t is negative root 17 over 1, which is the same thing that we had up here. Okay? All right, that's it for 4.3. I will see you all in the videos for 4.4. I'll probably see you all before then in the live sessions. All right?